I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Oh, okay. You got the shoulders going.
Oh, I thought I was going. I couldn't help myself there. I thought the line dance was coming on next. And, who knows what could happen on this show. Anyhow, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Carton Show. Got a great show for you today. That guy right there is David Jacoby.
All right, Jacoby. All right.
This handsome fellow right here is the only Hall of Famer, no offense, at the table. That's NBA rock star, Mr. Timmy Hardaway. Senior. And, of course, Super Bowl champion, my main man, Mr. Pots and Pans, Willie Colon.
Senor.
We have a great show for you today, and I'm obviously in a very, very good mood. I kind of think Jacoby is too. I assume you are as well, because last night, it was, as I like to say, if I may stand up,
Okay.
the Dante DiVincenzo show.
It was the DiVincenzo show.
Leave it up there. We're going to Sizzler. Exactly right. My man had 40 points last night, had like 93 pointers, and I know they're playing the Pistons, worst team in basketball,
Yep.
and they only have 12 wins this year. But Tommy Thibodeau said, listen, y'all are all playing 40 minutes, even though you're up by 20. I don't know why the hell he did that. But the New York Knicks are now a half game out of the 3 spot, hater.
Yeah.
The 3 spot.
But you know
they
who's
were in the
behind
5.
you?
They were in the 5 spot. Now they're a half game out of the 3 spot.
Y'all better be looking at Orlando Magic. They right on you.
Yeah, we've already surpassed the Orlando Magic.
Y'all only got a couple of losers, and y'all right in the 4th spot.
We got an easy schedule the
What's
rest of the
wrong
way.
with Tim Hardaway? What's wrong? Tim chose violence.
I'm just letting y'all know. Y'all need to just calm down.
No.
Y'all need. It's not even playoffs yet.
It feels like it.
It's not even playoffs yet. Y'all still got 12 games left.
Timmy, do you recognize that we've not passed an Eastern Conference semifinal in 96 years?
Well, it's just,
and we have a team right now.
But it's not even playoffs yet. And DiVincenzo, he had a great game.
Yeah,
11 for 20 from 3.
Yes.
11 for 20
Record-setting night for that
Record-setting night for New York Knicks. And he was due. He was due, and I'm happy he produced.
I don't care if
because
he's
they needed him to start getting his offensive game going.
I don't know if he's due or overdue, but I acknowledge it was against a bad basketball team.
You know what?
In Detroit, but don't matter.
Sometimes you need to get your rhythm with bad basketball teams.
I like it.
And then that'll take you to the next level.
Well, the New York Knicks are a half game out of the 3 spot right now, and we're all feeling it. And the hater right there, my main man.
Orange and blue sky.
I'm just being realistic. Yeah. I just don't want you all to be let down again.
Oh, no, we expect to be let down eventually. And look, I have a philosophy.
Fall into that trap.
I've got a sports philosophy I've tried to burn into people's brains for many, many years, and that is enjoy it in the moment.
Correct.
Because I know it seems a little cliche. Like, I know that my team has, let me down year after year after year. I know a lot of people are always like, yeah, it's great they won, but what about the next game? What about the next round of the playoffs? I don't feel that way. I love it out, live it up, and I love it in the moment.
Right.
Because I enjoyed last night's win. I know we played a bad team. We did what we're supposed to do.
They did what they supposed
blow
to
them
do.
out. That's what good teams do to bad teams.
True.
And I'm not worried about the next game. I'm not worried about the Orlando Magic. I'm going to enjoy my team's successes in the moment.
I understand
because if you don't enjoy it in the moment, you look back and go, oh, that year sucked, or you get any joy out of it. No. Every win, I slurp it up, Timmy Hardaway, and I swallow it, and I enjoy it. And then every once in a while, I burp it back up to remember it, because that's how I roll. You guys are color coordinated. That's nice. I didn't get the memo on that.
No, you didn't.
No.
They sent it out last night.
Yeah, I was sleeping, I guess. Another quick story we're going to get to in a little bit. The owner of the New York Giants said he's sick to his stomach, that the New York Giants allowed Saquon Barkley to leave the New York Giants and go to the Eagles. And I'm saying to myself, aren't you the owner?
Right.
John Maurer in this case. How could you claim to be sick over losing Saquon Barkley when you didn't give him the multi-year contract last year and you allowed him to walk out the door this year? Like, you're the guy that writes the check.
Right.
If you wanted Saquon to be here, you would have signed him.
Yeah, you got to stop his boo-hooing. He then went on to say, I have 7 grandchildren, and they all have Saquon Barkley jerseys. Well, if you love him that much, to your point, sign him. You didn't get in the way of anything. You offered him. He didn't want the deal because he felt like he was being devalued. But if you love him that much, bring him in like, hey, man, we're going to pay you. We're going to make it right. That didn't happen.
We got lots of other things to talk about. We'll get into the whole John Maurer thing, the Saquon thing. Tons more on the Knicks, I can promise you that. Still trying to figure out how the Phoenix Suns lost to the Spurs last night. No Wembanyama Mama playing. Don't know how the hell that happened, but it happened. Maybe it's Bradley Beal's fault. Oh, I hurt my finger. I can't play anymore. Looking into it. And tons of football. Plus, we finally heard from Shohei Ohtani. We got all that, but right after the break, it's a Jet world, and we're just living in it.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Morning, welcome back to the Carton Show. We have the Jets owner, Woody Johnson. That handsome fella. Well, he was asked a very simple question. What would success be for the New York Jets this season? And
easy answer.
Wait till you hear what he had to say, Craig.
Easy answer. Playoffs.
Successful season. It's kind of in the eye of the beholder. You want to feel like you're getting the most out of all the players. You're winning. You're winning or close to winning every single game.
So it's success is in the eye of the beholder. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. No big deal. Are you disappointed that the Jets owner himself is not holding the team to a higher standard?
What a stupid organization I root for. It started with Robert Saleh yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess, right, saying that, I would never say it's playoffs or bust. Well, I'm saying it. It's playoffs or bust. And there's my owner. And there's an old saying, I don't know if it's Italian or French or Yiddish, I have no idea. But the saying goes like this: a fish stinks from the head down. It's an old saying. Maybe it's a fisherman's saying. I don't know.
Maybe.
But that's where it comes from. That's the mantra. Like, God forbid we hold people accountable that make $30 million a year to actually get to the postseason for the first time in damn near a decade and a half. And that sucks, because I want my owner to come out and say, I'm done losing. I'm sick and tired of it. And yes, we had the injury to Aaron Rodgers last year, which is the only reason everybody's coming back. But everybody's on notice. I have not had a successful tenure as the owner of the New York Jets, and I'm embarrassed by what's taking place here with my franchise. And you bet your ass, when I greenlit the spending of money the way I have this offseason, and I allowed Joe Douglas to do all the things he's done, it came with a caveat. And that caveat was, it is inexcusable not to make it to the postseason. I don't want to hear about close loss. I don't want to hear about, hand grenades and what's the other thing that's close. Thank you, horseshoes. I want to hear that the New York Jets are playing a football game the second and or third week of January. And I put everybody on notice, if I'm the owner, that the losing stops now. No more excuses from Joe Douglas. No more excuses from Robert Saleh. And no more excuses from the clowns that wear the uniform that says J-E-T-S, just across the chest. It is time to start winning. I don't want to hear about, well, we almost beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
We almost beat them. We almost beat them. No, and no. That's something you tell 6-year-olds. It's okay, Billy, that you lost by 40. You'll get them again next week.
Yep.
Unacceptable. And it starts with the owner. Like, you wonder why Robert Saleh at the press conference the other day said, I would never put, that on my team where, you have to win. Because the owner's telling them you don't have to win. What the hell's going on?
I'm with you, Craig. It's time for this team to start talking with a sense of urgency. That's the bottom line. You're talking about Robert Saleh currently being 18-33 as the head coach for the New York Jets. It's unacceptable, especially with the team they got.
Now, let me take you, if I may, into the Carton Show time machine. February, Woody Johnson asked about this season. I'm not a playoff mandate guy, but we got to do a lot better than 7 wins. This is it. We have to produce this year. Well, that's going in the right direction, at least.
Right.
So here's the question. You played for the Jets.
Yes, I did.
What the hell happened between February and March where we went from we better do a hell of a lot better to, it is what it is. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose.
I don't know. I think you hit it right on the head. There seems to be this level of treating this locker room with a pair of kid gloves, which is frustrating because at the end of the day, you got Aaron Rodgers coming back. You have a top 10 defense. You now have an offense that seems that they could be capable of putting up numbers.
That's your question. I was always taught, Timmy and I were talking about this yesterday over breakfast after the show. And Timmy and I have this same train of thought. Neither one of us played professional football. Jacoby, I'm sure, would double down on this with us as well. I was always taught, and maybe the world has passed me by, I don't know. I was taught that the last bastion of manhood was an NFL locker room. Men can be men.
Sure.
Right? And it's still allowed. You could be a caveman mentality, and we're rough and we're tough, and we eat meat off the bone, and that type of stuff, right? And all of a sudden, I get the sense like Woody Johnson and Robert Saleh are so concerned with how the soft players might react. God forbid you put pressure on them and tell them that if you don't make the playoffs, it's unacceptable. Timmy raising his hand. Yes, Mr. Hardaway?
Like I said before, Robert Saleh and owner, they don't want to put all that pressure on their team. Just like the Dallas Cowboys owners is putting pressure on the Dallas Cowboys, and they can't perform.
But,
all right,
Timmy,
but no buts. And maybe they just telling you all that so y'all could be quiet. Y'all want, you know what? The J-E-T-S people, y'all expect so much. Y'all expect so much. Maybe right now they want to be quiet and they get into that locker room.
Maybe we should hand out gummies and bubble gum to these.
And that's what they doing. But that's what they doing.
No, Tim.
That's what they exactly doing.
You're from the old school. It's about being a man. These are multi-millionaires.
But they are doing that now. Times have changed. They are passing out bubble gum and gummies.
No, you adjust the television. You don't adjust how you treat athletes. These guys are making a lot of money to play a professional
you
sport.
could tell you all that, but in the locker room, you tell them, look, man, forget what I said. We better win or all y'all gone.
No, every coach I've ever played for is very stern, direct. It's about the production you put on tape. If you're not winning, producing, and playing at a high level, we're going to get your keister out of there.
But that don't mean that they have to say it.
Yes, you do. How else would you know it?
There's a chance. I said they will know it in the locker room behind closed doors. That's when they talk and tell you, look, if we don't get this done, y'all butt is out of here.
Listen, pressure busts pipes.
Bottom line, no matter what. So why you gonna put all the pressure out there for them? So when they walk outside, oh yeah,
because you're talking
win.
to grown men. This is the 15-years trying out for their local
From now on, here's where I learned it.
It's still they all are grown men, but you know what? Everybody, football, basketball, baseball, being portrayed as little kids now.
Well, here's the deal. We learned a valuable lesson here today, led by Tim Hardaway, is that professional athletes today are soft
no question.
and fragile.
No question. I can tell you a couple of guys on different teams that are fragile.
Come on.
And if you talk to them the wrong way, they'll ball up and just be gone.
Give me an example of a guy. Give me an example of a guy.
James Harden last year, Game 7.
James Harden. Oh, I like how you talk. I like how you talk to Doncic.
Yeah.
I didn't say that,
but I agree.
By the way, I just want to come full circle on the breakfast story, if I may.
That question.
To rub it into me, Timmy, of course, did order moons over my hammy yesterday.
Denny's?
At Denny's. And I recognized the order, which is why I left without paying. That's right.
Good.
We got much more coming your way, but this is the plight of a Jet fan, man. You want your owner to come out and say it's unacceptable not to win this year, and they cannot bring themselves to do it because our players are apparently very, very soft and they bruise like grapes, frankly. Coming
All
up,
players are
we
now.
got first in football, and we got one of the greatest in-game dunks. It's so good I have to show it to you, and it's coming up right after this.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Let me show you a quick highlight. We're not a highlight show, but we saw something last night that I've never seen before. This is James Parrott. He's a professional playing against children, it appears like, but I've never seen that before.
Never.
He bounces the ball at about the three-point line. The defender's got no idea what's happening, runs past him, gets his own dribble essentially, and goes up and flushes it home for the deuce, Timmy Hardaway.
Yes, but look at the guy that he threw the ball over. Watch him after the dunk. Oh,
Not happening. Not
he's like,
But
on his own man.
I don't know how you practice that without the defenders there. That is hard enough to do. But to bounce it over a taller person and then to catch it with two hands and dunk on another person. I don't even know how you think to do that.
To be fair, though, the dude's a professional playing against like YMCA guys.
I mean, but that's still incredible. No. That's still incredible. I mean, to actually bounce the ball and have the ball get to where you going and alley-oop to yourself.
It's a great dunk.
So you watched that play and you said, boy, that's what you did. That's what you did.
I was like, but, you know.
How do you know how good those are?
It'd be like Timmy in his heyday coming to the JCC and crossing me up. Like, great, you did a nice crossover. I can't stop you.
Great. That's tough to do, to bounce the ball.
Is it?
And if the guy reached over and just hold his hands up, he didn't know what was going on. Well, if he held his hands up, he probably would have deflected.
I'm going to try it later. I got a Nerf hoop out there. Let's see if I can make it.
The Nerf ball won't bounce that.
All right, let's get to first in football. Jacoby's got it. And a little Jimmy Harbaugh, a little J.J. McCarthy as well. What do you got?
We start with first in football, and that's exactly where we start. That guy, J.J. McCarthy, had his pro day, and former Michigan head coach and current Chargers head coach, Jim Harbaugh, really was very excited about it. Here he is.
Like that shirt.
The workout JJ had, I've been to a lot of pro day workouts and watched quarterbacks throw. That was the best I've ever seen a quarterback do at a pro day. I mean, there's numerous GMs, numerous head coaches, couldn't say enough good things.
Here's what's kind of interesting. Since his pro day, the odds of him getting picked second, have jumped up a lot from plus 2,500 to plus 500. What do you make about all this hype in the last month around J.J. McCarthy?
It actually troubles me if I'm rooting for a team that's picking second, third, or fourth. Because no knock on J.J. McCarthy, a lot of respect for the kid because he's a winner. And to me, that's the intangible that you look for. All these kids can throw a football, especially wearing, long sleeve shirt and shorts or sweats, whatever it is, and nobody's rushing you. No one's ever questioning a kid's ability to throw a ball. You play high-level D1 football, and while, different kids throw it differently, they can all throw a football, right? Especially when there's no defense playing. So I like the intangible that the kid's a winner. That means something to me. But I always find myself at this time of year waiting to see who the kid is, whether it's a quarterback, wide receiver, defensive end, whatever it is, who all of a sudden, starts leaping up the board and up the board and up the board. I'm going to base my decision, if I'm a general manager, on who I'm drafting on game film, on what I've seen against legitimate competition. I'm not going to pick a kid second and make him the face of my franchise at the hardest position in sports because he had a good pro day. I'm not going to do it. The pro days for kids, in my opinion, second, third, fourth round picks. If J.J. McCarthy did not jump off the screen after the great run in Michigan this past year, or even the year before that, when he played elite-level college football, where you think, based on what I've seen in game film, that he's my franchise quarterback, the pro day's not going to convince me otherwise. Now, you also have to take Jim Harbaugh's comments with a grain of salt. It's his kid.
Yes.
He recruited him, he developed him, and he made him into a great quarterback. So he's got an emotional connection to the kid, and he wants to see him do well. So all due respect to Harbaugh, who you guys know I love, who is a great quarterback coach and obviously a great head coach, he's pumping up his own guy. So you got to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I also sit here as a Jet fan watching the same damn thing happen a few years ago with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson was a credible quarterback in college, led a high-powered offense, no doubt about it. But he was not going to be the second overall pick until that pro day. And he became the second overall pick on one throw where we all went crazy about it, across his body, 70 yards on the line, and hit a receiver in the basket. And we all said, oh my God, that kid's a franchise quarterback. So McCarthy's going to be drafted in the first round. That's now obvious. But my question to you, Willie, would be, if you guys all had Daniels as an example, or Drake May as an example, off of game film, as a higher-ranked quarterback, whether that's because of his size, his arm strength, or how he played in college, how could a guy playing in a T-shirt and shorts all of a sudden overtake him, or those two guys, as the second pick, just based on that alone?
I honestly don't know, but I think you can't sneeze at the fact that he was 27-1 in his college career.
I don't. Winning is winning.
11 interceptions. I think right now what's interesting about him, he didn't throw the ball a whole lot. He pretty much operated in a run-first offense.
With Corum.
With Corum, right. So if you're the Giants and you want to get back to the old thing, when you had a prolific running back and a good offensive line, and you had a quarterback that could be a field general, he's the reason why you take him serious. And on top of that, he's only 21 years old.
Yeah.
He's still a young pup. So right now they're looking at the fact that he doesn't have any significant injuries. He's a back-to-back. Well, he took him to the college football playoffs and also overall national champion. But what you're looking at a kid right now who, by the way, is just primed for the position, right? One thing that Harbaugh did was raise him to be that quarterback in that offense.
Sure.
So I can see why they're taking him seriously, but at the end of the day, your take speaks for yourself.
Now, here's the other issue I have with people now trying to jockey up to get him. There are good situations and bad situations. I think we all agree what Chicago has done, as an example, becomes a really good situation for a rookie quarterback to walk into in Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
They've got legitimate talent there now, which, kind of like C.J. Stroud in Houston, will make it easier to have some level of success in a rookie season. If J.J. McCarthy goes to Washington, which is absolutely on the table right now, or goes to New England, absolutely on the table, and there's no talent there, and there isn't, how could you possibly have an expectation that that kid comes out of the draft and becomes a rock star, at least in year one? I don't see it. I don't. But go ahead, Tim, you want to jump in.
So I've been watching this kid for 2 years.
Right.
Nothing has jumped off the screen for me. He's always been suspect. You know, every time he goes back to throw, it was like, you can hear it in the stands. And cold weather. He doesn't fare in cold weather. I think he has small hands. He doesn't fare in cold weather throwing a football. When they played against Maryland, he did not throw one pass in the second half. Not one pass. They ran all the time in the second half. So that shows me that they didn't have confidence in him, too. And he was one play from messing up in the not the championship game against Alabama. That interception, if that guy didn't step out of bounds, that one play
could have changed everything.
Could have changed everything.
Well, look, he's moving up the draft boards, that's for sure. And I do like the Harbaugh connection as well. Yeah. But there's always a guy. There's always a guy. You're the first guy, actually, there wasn't even a quarterback. You guys may or may not remember this. And I only remember because he played for the Eagles and because Paul Tagliabue at the time, the commissioner, messed up his name. There was a kid out of Boston College. His name was Mike Mamula. Right? But his real name is Mike Mamula. And Tagliabue goes, and the Eagles pick out of Boston College, Mike Mamula. And Mike Mamula was one of those guys who allegedly was enhancing what was inside his bloodstream prior to the combine.
PEDs.
And worked out just for the combine. So his numbers were ridiculous. and they forgot about the game film, which wasn't very good. And he was a first-round draft pick, and then got his ass kicked by a female bouncer at a bar at Lehigh, where the Eagles actually had their summer training camp. True story. And that's when they realized we picked the wrong guy to be a linebacker. A female bouncer kicked his ass. True story, by the way. She may have known karate, but she still kicked his ass.
Yeah. Moving on to second and football, and Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers, was asked about that man, Justin Fields, and here's what he had to say.
Oh my gosh, man! He oozes talent and potential. He's worn the responsibility of being a franchise quarterback, but still he gets an opportunity to come into a community-like situation and learn from a guy that's been doing it for over a decade. Man, there's a lot of meat left on that bone, man. I'm just excited about working to be a part of extracting it.
So, Willie, we're going to start with you here as a former Steeler. How can the coaching, the culture, and the locker room in Pittsburgh help turn Fields into a successful NFL quarterback?
Well, just because the weapons in which they have on the team. You talk about Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. They have a really good offensive line. You have an offensive coordinator that's going to kind of fit what he does really well, which Craig can align. He likes to run the ball, and he does great jobs with his feet. But overall, they have to right now understand this kid is coming out of a traumatic situation. You get drafted number 1 overall. The city's put on your back. You're supposed to produce. That doesn't happen. With all that said, he's going into a situation right now where the pressure isn't on him right away. They have Russell Wilson, and they have a run game, and they have an Arthur Smith that can deliver, and they have a top 5 defense. So with all that, if he is, for whatever reason, put in a situation to start for the Pittsburgh Steelers, all he has to do is just operate within the system. He doesn't have to be a miracle maker, which is good for him. Why are you laughing, Craig?
Because you two will never learn.
What happened?
He's not going to play quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I just say
Russell Wilson's your starting quarterback.
As of right now?
No. As of every game this year.
They only have him for 1 year.
Unless he gets hurt. He doesn't get hurt that often. Justin Fields was not brought in to play. He was brought in to be a backup. And, yeah, it's great to learn from a veteran. I'm good with that aspect of it. But we have to stop this craziness. Don't we have producers on this show that are supposed to be in charge of what we talk about from time to time?
Yeah, at least 8.
I mean, this is such craziness to me that you guys, I don't put words in Jacoby's mouth, he just asked the question, but I feel like he agrees with me based on yesterday.
Why would you think a 25-year-old still has a lot of game left in his...
I don't understand why you two knuckleheads can't get it through your thick skulls that Justin Fields has not earned the right to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He has not played all that well in his first 3 years.
He played better than this
and the
year.
reason nobody wanted him but the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 6th-round draft pick to be a backup quarterback was because he stinks. Period. Stop.
So you want us to put our coins in a bucket of Russell Wilson, who was actually benched this year?
Yes.
Who actually got kicked out of Denver?
You know why he got benched? He got benched for financial reasons.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
Right? But if you were doing your damn job, they don't have that conversation.
Oh, that's right. Because I remember when Russell Wilson got benched, that they had come off beating the Kansas City Chiefs going into the bye week, and they were alive for the playoffs, and they decided, screw the playoffs, we're going to bench Russell Wilson so he doesn't get hurt,
and we can attest
and we can save some money. You guys have to stop this nonsense that Justin Fields is a good, competent quarterback because he has never been a good, competent quarterback in the NFL.
It's not true.
And I want to know why the hell Brandon Aiyuk is having a press conference on behalf of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what I want to know, you crazy people. What else do you have, Jacoby?
Moving on to third and football. Let's go back to the Jets owner, Woody Johnson. This time he's talking about Zach Wilson.
There goes your quarterback.
Here is what he had to say about Zach Wilson.
Oh, I'm not going to speculate. I mean, Zach is a valuable asset. You know, he really is. I said it would be better for him, but no, we're just not going to release him.
Somebody even asked a valuable asset.
They said they're not going to release Zach Wilson. Would it be better for the Jets if he was not in the building come training camp?
Look, he's the third-string quarterback. If he's here, it makes no sense for him to be here. I know for a fact the Jets have gotten offers for him. Obviously, I think it's been for a bucket of balls and a jugs machine and not even a draft pick. But this is the Jets being the Jets. Like, I try so damn hard to put the New York Jets in a positive positive light, and they make it so damn tough to do it.
Didn't he
From
ask for a
Robert
trade,
Saleh
too?
yesterday saying, I'm not going to say that if you don't make the playoffs, it's a bad thing, to Woody Johnson saying, I'm not going to put playoffs or bust, and that kind of pressure on them, to all of a sudden, we think Zach Wilson has value?
Yeah.
Did you watch them play last year or the year before that or the year before that? Give me my full screen. There it is. Thank you. Way ahead of time. Last. The fact that there's an NFL team that was willing to offer you anything in regards to future compensation, you should have taken it and run to the hills.
Straight up.
I mean, look, because think about it. How many drafts are there? 7 rounds, 8 rounds? Is that right? 7 rounds, right. So Justin Fields, a 6th-round pick, right? Kenny Pickett, I think, was a 3rd-round pick. That was the trade, right?
Yeah.
When they traded him?
Yeah.
If you can get an actual pick in a draft
I agree.
that might become a human being that can play football for you, and I'm sorry for yelling this morning, and you said no to that, you should all be fired for that. The fact that there's another team dumb enough to offer you an actual football player for Zach Wilson, and you're like, I'm holding out for more. What?
Yeah.
This is crazy talk. I was having a great day. The Knicks won. DiVincenzo dropped 40, had 11 threes last night. And then you guys have to bring me bad Jet news for the 2nd consecutive day. It's killing me, Whitey. They're killing me.
I mean, isn't it better
you choose to be a fan.
not in the building? Like,
What?
it's addition by subtraction. Aren't you better off with just Zach Wilson not being
Here's
part
what's going to happen. I
Yeah.
know it because
It's not
I'm a
gonna-
soothsayer for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt in week 5.
Damn.
Allow me to finish.
No.
This is typical
There
Jets.
you go.
The Jets
There
are
you
4-0. We're riding high. We're going to the Super Bowl. I'm an obnoxious a-hole. It's a great day to be alive. And then he goes down in week 5. Tyrod Taylor comes in the second half and leads the Jets to victory. We're 5-0 going into our bye week, right? Tyrod Taylor then decides to go out to Los Angeles to visit some old friends, and the doctor out there stabs him again, and he's out for the year. And then we're left with Zach Wilson, and Woody Johnson goes, thank God we didn't trade him. He's such a valuable asset. And we're sitting here going, son of a... And then after the year, Woody Johnson goes, Robert Saleh's coming back. It's not his fault. I mean, that sounds like... I need to take a break. Coming up, John Mara loves Saquon Barkley, just not enough to sign him, and now he's upset about it. Get over it. We'll get into it next on FS1.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Welcome back to the Carton Show. We have some new information about the Giants, and that man Saquon Barkley, and the owner of the Giants, John Mara, said this about losing Saquon. He said it absolutely makes him sick to see Saquon Barkley go to the Eagles. Craig, if it makes him so sick, why didn't they make an offer to keep Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, I mean, that's the million-dollar question, right? And it goes back a full year, too. You know, Saquon Barkley a year ago, before they franchised him, said, look, my goal is to be a Giant for life. He never, ever wavered on that. It was true. He wanted to be a Giant for life. And when they decided to give Danny Jones a big contract, and then at the 11th hour franchise Saquon Barkley, we all thought it was kind of put the contract in hold so they could eventually work out, a 2-year deal, if not a 3-year deal. Obviously, that never materialized. The running back position has been totally devalued in the NFL, which I still can't fathom why, GMs feel that way. But this is bothersome to me. Because you had a player that the fan base adored, a player who, yes, has been riddled with injuries throughout his career, never truly lived up outside of his rookie year to being drafted 2nd overall, but still a really good player and the focal point of your offense, where there weren't a lot of guys that stayed on the field healthy or delivered offensively for the Giants over the last couple of years. And all the guy said was, I want to be a Giant for life. I want to be a Giant for life, on and on and on. You're the owner. Now, if a general manager, or better yet, if a coach comes out and goes, it's killing me to have lost Saquon Barkley, when you could understand the fact that he doesn't get to make the final decision on his roster, I respect that.
Sure.
But when the guy that writes the check, the guy that dictates who the general manager makes offers to, allows the guy not just to walk out the building, but walk out the building without a legitimate offer, and allows that guy to walk right down the turnpike to a divisional rival where you don't have to see that guy twice a year for the next 2 or 3 years, and then you come out and say, it made me sick to see him go, you're the only guy that could have stopped it from happening. And I've talked to Saquon and his representatives about this over the last couple years, as you I'm sure have as well.
Sure.
And Victor Cruzaz will join us again Thursday and Friday this week. They never made him a qualifying offer. They never said, let's work out a deal that you can accept that allows you to stay a Giant for the next couple of years. That's on John Mara. Now, I want to be clear. I like John Mara. I know John Mara. I have a great deal of respect for John Mara. He's a classy man, and they've run that organization with great class ever since Wellington Mara started the New York Giants all those years ago. But in this case, you can't come out and say publicly, I'm sick to my stomach that Saquon Barkley is A, not a Giant, and B, is an Eagle, when you're the guy and no one else, no one trumps you. You're the guy that could have guaranteed that he was a Giant for life. So now, these are crocodile tears. And I get it. He didn't realize that if we let him go, he might go right down the turnpike to Philly, and now we got to see this guy twice a year. So it sickens me, as a matter of fact, that you wanted to keep the guy, that all your kids wear 26 jerseys at home, and now they got to throw him out or burn him or give him to Goodwill because he's not a Giant anymore.
Singletary's got the same number.
Exactly. Burn him, send him to Goodwill, and you're the guy that could have prevented it from happening. And to me, it's a cop-out. And this is an owner now trying to make the fans respect him and appease them, and it falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, and it tears a phony, right? At the end of the day, just call a spade a spade. He's a 27-year-old running back that was injury-prone. At the end of the day, your offense wasn't getting better with him in the lineup, so you had an opportunity to trade him. You didn't because you so-called didn't want to send him. That's a good point, too. You didn't want to send him to a team he necessarily didn't want to go. So you went to Philly, got the bag, and he said goodbye. Yep. Now you want to cry like you missed your ex. Well, your ex is gone. He's off with a hotter date. So you just got to eat it up. At the end of the day, the Giants have to realize they have a bad quarterback situation. This team is riddled with holes, and their best player is now playing on your arch rival. That's their life as a Giant.
And by the way, I know Giant fans are mad at me because I said that this could be a wrap after this year for Dable and Shane. I do believe that's on the table, depending on how this year goes. And while the defense has, I think, gotten better on the defensive line for sure getting Burns. 100%. And I think it's a big loss in losing McKinney. I think that defensive line will be one of the best in football. But you cannot tell me, if you're a Giants fan, that you love this offense.
No.
You don't have a legitimate quarterback. No disrespect to Drew Lock coming in as the backup. You don't have a tight end because I don't know what Waller's up to right now.
Facts.
And he's had some issues off the field, mental health issues, which you want to be respectful of. But he has said he might retire. Your best receiver, Slayton, right? And he's not a number one receiver. So I'm trying to figure out, as good as that defensive line should be, how the hell are the Giants scoring points? I can't figure that out. And I know there's a lot of wide receivers in this year's draft, but you ain't getting 3 of them, and you don't have any right now on your roster. So I think you're looking at a lot of low-scoring, one-score type games, which, to be fair, 2 years ago, every game they won was by a touchdown or less, and they did win a playoff game. So you can have success, but, man, you're asking that defense to damn near be perfect. All right, from there, let's go to a little segment I like called Yeah, But. Number 1, yeah, Tua Tagovailoa is a good quarterback, and yeah, the Miami Dolphins set records to the majority of last year, but the dude has never won a single playoff game. How in the world can you give that guy $250 million, which is what he'd be in tow for if they sign him to an extension?
Well, the bottom line, Craig, this is his first full season in which he started, right? You talk about prior to that, he got injured.
Right.
And after that, he was in a competition battle. So this is his first season really putting a full year on tape. overall, yeah, he struggled. He had 14 interceptions. I think he had I think 5 or 6 fumbles throughout the year in which he lost. This offense is high octane with him at quarterback. He is the future. You don't have anybody else on the roster that can replace him right now. So if you're the Miami Dolphins, you finally have a face of the franchise, and it happens to be Tua.
Are you going to give him almost $300 million to be a starting quarterback for the next 7 years?
It's the same situation the Cowboys are in right now.
Yep.
Outside of Dak, who else do they have?
They don't. But you notice how the Dallas Cowboys are not, extending Dak right now. I know Miami's talked about it, and they're kind of in a pickle.
Right.
You almost have no choice. But the guy's never won a playoff game. He's had one season in reality where he played all the way through, and he's making like $23 million this year on the 5th-year option.
Correct.
But I got to ask the question, how do I give that guy $300 million? I might not. Number 2. Yeah! Ohtani said his interpreter lied. And he said he never wagered on Major League Baseball, but he didn't explain how the money left his account and went to the account of a bookmaker's. He also didn't answer any questions. So am I supposed to just take his word as the gospel that he had no idea what was going on? I'm not naive.
Well, I'm terrified to answer. I was told by Fox to keep it very clean and speak on my behalf, so I choose to move in that regard.
Move along?
Yes, move along.
No. I want to say this.
Please do it.
I believe him. I think that he came out and said what he needed to say and how he needed to say it. And a lot of people disgruntled and what people have to say. If you don't believe what he got to say, well, why do you want him to come out and say some stuff?
Right.
He coming out and saying what he needs to say and how he needs to say it, and that's the way it is. If you don't believe him, it's on you. But he's coming out and saying, look, I didn't have nothing to do with this. The guy stole money. And we know it's been a lot of people have stole money from a lot of people from their account. Also,
that's where I have.
But that's what they say too. But do you disagree with them?
I would say this. We have had stories of accountants and agents taking money from clients, etc.
Correct.
I'm not sure how an interpreter had access to his personal bank accounts. And I'll tell you something else. You don't lose You don't lose $4.8 million in a week.
It can't happen.
That's a guy that's been gambling for a long time, the interpreter,
of course.
in this case, and he may have made $30 or $40 million worth of wages to get to a net loss of 4.8. It just seems a little fishy, and he refused to answer any questions yesterday.
You don't need to answer questions if he told you what you need to hear.
Well, the investigation continues both at the federal level and with the DOI, Department of Investigations for Major League Baseball. Here's another one for you. The Celtics blew a 30-point lead last night. And the Phoenix Suns lost to the Spurs without Wembanyama Mama playing. But who the hell cares? Dante DiVincenzo had 40 last night, including 11 three-pointers. And the Knicks are a half game out of third place right now.
Right now.
Right now.
I'll give you. I'm happy for the Knicks, and they playing well.
You're not happy for the Knicks.
I am.
You're not happy.
You know why I'm
Pick a side, Tim Hardaway.
No. See, that's what we was talking about. Pick a side. I am picking a side. I said I'm happy for the Knicks, but in the playoffs, y'all not going to win without OG or Randall. I'm picking a side. I'm saying that y'all not going to win, but I'm happy for the Knicks and what they doing because Steve's got them playing very well right now.
Well, we're running out of time. Unfortunately, I can't get to my my Diddy joke. So we'll have to.
Thank God. Thank God.
Coming up, we got your headlines. We got Jerry Jones having lost his fastball. We got Woody Jones who never had a fastball. And we got fastballs flying galore this week because baseball is back. A lot of stuff coming up right after this on FS1.
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Carton Show. We have early morning headlines, and we start with that man, Woody Johnson. He owns the Jets.
He does?
And he was asked a very simple question. What would success be this season for the Jets? And wait to hear his answer.
Oh, boy.
Successful season. It's kind of in the eye of the beholder. You want to feel like you're getting the most out of all the players. You're winning or close to winning every single game.
Why can't he just say the word playoffs? How disappointing is it that the front office, the brass, and the head coach do not hold the Jets to a higher standard?
I mean, it's a problem for me because it's like we're coddling guys now, and we're afraid to put expectations on them. Right. Well, expectations come with the paycheck and with the opportunity to be a professional athlete, right? Which is a gift. It's not a right. And I think that's the leadership that I'm talking about that's been missing from this franchise for a long time. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Winning and losing, you either win
I have the scoreboard.
or you lose. Right?
It's on the scoreboard right there.
Yeah, and there's no such thing as a pretty loss at this level.
No question.
For high school kids, maybe Pop Warner kids, I appreciate the life lessons a coach might teach a 9-year-old. But when you're a professional athlete, it's very simple. It's black and white. You either win or you lose. And there's nothing in between. There's no moral victories. There's no, hey, we played them really close. We almost won, guys. Let's go to friendlies and get a double scoop. No, that's not how it works. And here's the problem. Full screen. Watch this, Jacoby.
What you got, Craig?
You want to cherry pick stats, kid? I got you. This is what the Jets have done since they last had a playoff win.
Wow.
It speaks for itself. 15 quarterbacks, 4 head coaches, a single winning season, and God almighty, 9, 10-loss losing seasons, and they're the third worst team when it comes to winning percentage in the entire league. It's been over a decade, Timmy and Willie, since they actually won a playoff game. But this is the problem. When your owner can't come out and say, listen, there are expectations this year because of who the quarterback is, because I've given this coaching staff 4 years, because I've given the general manager 5 years to rebuild the franchise and give us something we're proud of. It's okay to come out in March and say, yeah, we have to win. I'm not saying come out and say it's Super Bowl or bust, because that'd be crazy. But you can come out and say, I know full well that we have enough talent in that locker room to win the division, to make the playoffs, and to win playoff games. And that should be the only goal. It shouldn't be, well, there's close losses, and stop. Just stop. Like, it's embarrassing. And when the head coach knows that's how the owner speaks, that's why the head coach comes out yesterday and says these words that also bothered me. If you didn't hear him, here's Robert Saleh from the coaches meeting the other day.
I'll never say that. It's like I said, put your head down, do the best you can, put your work in, and obviously we all want to win games. We all want to go to the playoffs. We all want to win championships. That's been the goal since the day we walked in here, and felt like we were going to have that opportunity last year. It didn't happen, and this year's about picking ourselves up, putting our heads down, and just
the lead to that is it playoffs or bust? So you just so I set up that quote in a better manner. And he's saying, I can't say that. Don't want to say that. Woody Johnson, the owner, I don't want to say that.
Eye of the beholder.
It's in the eye of the beholder. This is why it's so hard being a Jet fan and why we're all crazy. Because I know for a fact, you could speak this having played and specifically been even in the Jet locker room, albeit a long time ago now, and that is the Jets have enough talent that cannot be disputed. I think it's the most talented team and roster we've ever had. We could argue that, not for today, obviously, but there's no excuse. Last year we had the excuse Aaron Rodgers went down and the season went down because we didn't make plans to have a legitimate backup quarterback. And everyone's got to eat that, slurp it up. This year, you've got a backup quarterback. I'm not saying Tyrod Taylor's the second coming. He's not. But he's a competent backup quarterback in this league. You've got a better offensive line. You've got a top 5 defense. You've got depth at wide receiver. And by the way, we haven't even drafted yet. Mm-hmm. And we are coming off a couple of very good drafts by Joe Douglas. He had a couple bad ones early, a couple good ones of late. So there's going to be more talent on this team. And the owner's saying, it's in the eye of the beholder. It's okay. We might have some close games. What? This needs to be a 13-win team. This needs to be a team that wins the division, gets a home playoff game, and makes some noise in mid-January. Anything short of that, I'll say it, the season's a failure. Period. Stop.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think part of being an owner is actually acknowledging the ugly, right? When Zach Wilson beat Buffalo on Monday night, we all thought he was a better quarterback. That didn't happen. He finished 4-7 as a starter, and with that, the offensive line was atrocious. And Nathaniel Hackett, the fact that he has a job still blows my mind to this day. Moving forward, if you're the New York Jets, man, you do have an offensive line. You have some pieces to be that's with us currently. However, I'm with you, Craig. The standard is telling your team right now, nothing's acceptable but winning. The circus in which we were last year cannot happen this year. And this doesn't have to be about headlines coming out of the locker room. This has to be about being every guy in the helmet willing to put their life on the line for a game each and every Sunday and winning and going to a Super Bowl. So if I'm from the standpoint, when your owner talks in passion, the leaders walk and the rest of the team follows and they walk in passion.
Yep.
So it's about winning. It's about getting rid of the circus.
And here's the thing, like it's one thing when it's Robert Saleh saying it, and maybe that's just Robert Saleh, and he knows he's very fortunate to still be the head coach after 3 straight years of subpar seasons. And to be fair, as much as I like him personally and he is a friend, I'm a fan. And I need a better job coaching on the sideline. Whether you're my friend or not, we haven't had a winning season with him as head coach. Now, I can make every excuse up in the book for him. He's never had a legitimate quarterback. And there's no franchise out there that's going to win a lot of games without a legitimate starting quarterback. There's the outliers like we saw at the Browns last year. Don't forget they also were 4-1 to start the year off when they had a legitimate quarterback and then held on and made the playoffs. But this is the referendum. This is it. This is Robert Saleh's last shot to be the head coach of the New York Jets. This is Joe Douglas's last shot to be the general manager of the New York Jets. And I want my owner saying that. All right? Not because it changes if we win or lose a single game, but from a fan standpoint, we're saying it. And it'd be nice, as I keep standing up, I'm all crazy today. It'd be nice if my owner, if my general manager, and my head coach were in lockstep, not on we're going to try our hardest and hope that we win, as opposed to that, it'd be great as a fan, a long-suffering fan, if my owner, my GM, and my head coach came out and said exactly what we want to hear in this case. Yeah. Anything short of the postseason is a disaster and unacceptable for this franchise. I'm begging you to say it.
This is very concerning sound from Woody Johnson, but I made the mistake of watching some more from Woody Johnson, and I'm convinced he's not even 100% sure how football works. Listen to this. He's talking about Aaron Rodgers.
And what you have to do with Aaron is tell the receiver, count to 10, put your hands out here, look around, and the ball will be in your hands.
Count to 10, put your hands out here, look around, and the ball will be in your hands. Count to 10. What? 1, 2, 3. What?
4. Your quarterback 5, is sacked.
6.
He's sacked.
7, 8, 9, 10. Now put your hands out. Put your hands out. What is he talking about?
He's talking about having his faith in his new offensive line.
Yeah,
that's what he's talking about.
So like that,
I see the bright side. He believes that this new offensive line is going to keep Aaron upright for that long.
That was AI, right? That was a joke.
That's real.
Are you guys?
I just accidentally saw that.
Are you guys BSing me on that? Is that like, hey, let's mock Craig today? Let's knock him off his perch because DiVincenzo had 40 last night.
Put your hands out and the ball will be there.
Yeah, let me just walk through this. I'm glad you guys counted. It's good that we have a staff that can count to 10.
Yes.
But just conceptually, think about what he just said.
It makes no sense.
It's as if it's backyard football with a 10 Mississippi.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
Right.
And everybody go deep.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There you go. Oh, you dropped it.
I dropped it on purpose, by the way, just to make the point.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
The Jets are a clown show, kind of like the Golden State Warriors being knocked out of the playoffs.
Let's move on to the Cowboys. Another clown show. We have the owner of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones. He was asked about the Cowboys' lack of free agent signings this offseason, and here's what Mr. All In had to say. He said the following, and I quote, "I think we've been in a situation where we can get it done with lesser. More doesn't necessarily beat Green Bay. So we're going to be asked to do some things different because we've got some different players." What is that?
What's wrong with these owners? I don't want to make it political, but that's like Kamala Harris word salad.
What was that?
Like, I have no idea what the. Here's what he's. Let me. I actually get paid a little bit on the side.
Translate.
I know how to translate.
Do you wire the money to yourself?
Apparently, it's pretty good money. I'm the English translator for Jerry Jones. Cha-ching, cha-ching. I didn't wire that money. In any event, I think what he's saying is, I suck. And I'm sorry, Cowboy fans, but for us to win this year, we're going to win with less talent than we had last year. He's also telling you that even if we had more talent, we still would have lost to Green Bay, which brings me all full circle back around to two things. One, my belief that there's a potential sale of the Cowboys coming up in the relative near future because you're streamlining your expenses to get ready for a sale, maybe. And number two, they're not re-signing Dak Prescott this offseason. Now, it could happen at any point, obviously, but if he's acknowledging again that this team is what it is, outside of the draft, obviously, and whoever they acquire in the draft, and we have to win with less, and we didn't go out there and spend really a nickel in free agency, right? Even though we cleared up some cap room to do that, and he got about $5 million left currently under the cap, he's telling you all you need to know. This is the last shot for Dak Prescott as the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. That's what I'm hearing. And he's not saying those words, but he's also cute sometimes with how he talks about Dak Prescott, where we can only go as far as Dak took us, and that's what we did. His words, not mine. Even if I brought in 4 or 5 other guys, that doesn't mean we would have beaten Green Bay. You know why? Because he threw a bunch of interceptions in that game, and the offense didn't look right. So I think we're setting ourselves up for one of the greatest shows in recent memory from a kind of soap opera standpoint with the Dallas Cowboys. You are having a guy that's most likely on most people's lists 3rd or 4th greatest quarterback in Dallas Cowboy history, behind Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman, and Danny White. He's right there, probably 4th, to be fair, right? And you're saying to that guy, who has authored several 12-win seasons, who is 2-5 in the postseason, we're going to let you go lame duck. We're going to let you go out there and for 17 weeks prove to the world that you are still an elite quarterback, that you are top 10, and then we're going to ask you to prove it to us in January. And if you do that, we're going to risk losing you on the open market. But at that point, then we'll actually make you an offer. And the theater of that, I think, is awesome. Because now every single week is going to be a referendum on, do they extend him? Don't they extend him? And I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, if I'm Dak Prescott, I don't like Jerry saying that, right? Because at the end of the day, what do you mean? I lost my left tackle. You haven't replaced him. Now there's a conceptually thought that you're going to build to the draft, and now I'm counting on possibly a rookie left tackle to protect me, and I'm supposed to be this $60 million quarterback, so that doesn't make me feel good. But if you're Jerry right now, understand what lost you that playoff game. The defense, right? Dak didn't play well, but Aaron Jones had a day. That offensive line for the Green Bay Packers ran it down your throats. They owned you in your own home. So if you're Dak and company, you should be worried because it sounds like your owner is giving up.
Absolutely. And one thing about the Cowboys, if you look at their free agent acquisition history, this year isn't necessarily unique in the fact that they don't do much in free agency. Look at the money that they've committed to free agents over time. Last 28th, 25th, 25th. Now, they have drafted well and they re-signed their players, but this shows me someone asleep at the wheel.
Well, look, to be fair, they've drafted very well. Mm-hmm. They've got some legitimate rock stars that are homegrown talent that they drafted. Yep. And to be fair, your graphic is great because it shows you that they've built a really good team, a team good enough to win a division, a team good enough to get to the playoffs, and they did win that playoff game 2 years ago against Tampa and Old Man Brady, et cetera. So they built a team good enough to compete. So there is some credit that should be given to their front office led by Jerry Jones, but they haven't done a good enough job fixing whatever major holes they have through free agency. And in the NFL, the quickest way to fix a hole is not through the draft. Because damn near every kid drafted, outside of a special few, takes time to figure out how to be a really good NFL player for a lot of reasons that you guys in both your sports can speak to, right? So the easiest way to fix a hole is throughout free agency. They, for the last 5 years, as you point out, and to be fair, I could go back to 2012 in reality, since they made a big splash in free agency. It's not the way Jerry has done it for the last decade. And what's fascinating about that
Look at that number
is
on top.
it has not equated to winning or getting to a Super Bowl. And the thing that bothers me about it is Jerry Jones is a very savvy businessman. And throughout his lifetime, he has learned from his own mistakes. He's filed for bankruptcy. He's come back and figured out how to build successful businesses in many different sectors. And the thing that I'm trying to figure out is that for more than a decade now, they've done it a certain way. And that is kind of hope and prayer and through the draft. They have not done it through free agency, and they also have no appearances in the NFC Championship game or obviously the Super Bowl to show for it. So there's no thing in recovery we talk about all the time, which is what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Well, the Dallas Cowboys, since 2012 in reality, have done the same thing over and over again, and they get the same results over and over again. So I'm surprised that it's not enough, and it's time to change up how we do business, which is why, again, I think this is going to be one of the most theatrical years we've ever had, because I think Dak goes in lame duck, Mike McCarthy goes in lame duck, and there's blood in the water, and God forbid, if you're a Cowboy fan, they get out to a slow start. It's going to be like, you came in the other day and said, why are we talking about the Cowboys? It is going to be Cowboys 24/7 waiting for the hammer to drop.
Yeah, if that happens, you're
yep,
right.
No doubt about it.
Everybody's going to be talking about the Cowboys every day for 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Pretty much that's accurate, except for us, because we always carve out a little time for the Knicks.
Yeah, I got to put the Knicks in there too. Moving on to our final headline, and we have finally heard from Shohei Ohtani, and he spoke through a different interpreter to the media yesterday. He did not take questions, and here is what he had to say, and I quote, "I do want to make it clear that I never bet on sports or have willingly sent money to the bookmaker. Ipe has been stealing money from my account and has been telling lies. I'm just beyond shocked." What do you think about how Shohei has handled this?
I mean, he had to talk. So let me be fair. He had to talk, and he talked, so that's a good thing. But the fact that you have a press conference like that and you don't answer any questions is problematic for me, because it makes me think there's something's being hidden here. And I don't know that as a fact. I'm just surmising that if you refuse to answer questions, it's because you don't want to answer questions, because the answers may put you in a bad spot, or, who knows, beyond that. I will take the leap of faith for now that Shohei Ohtani did not wager on baseball. I can't take the leap of faith that he wasn't aware that wagers were being made, that he wasn't aware that money was coming out of his account at the level they apparently were wires being sent. I have a tough time buying that part of the story. I don't want to be naive about it. I think there's a lot more to this story that will come out over the course of these two parallel investigations between the federal government and their prosecutors, and of course baseball's own investigative unit, which is largely made up of former prosecutors and investigators who know exactly what they're doing. And the big question mark now is, of course, Ipe, the interpreter, because he's now facing prison time. This is a federal crime, wire fraud and embezzlement and theft. And a guy facing a loss of freedom might be willing to say certain things or do certain things to lessen whatever that sentence might be and to work out a deal. Now, the other side of that, to be fair, is, it's not illegal to place the wager. It's illegal to book the wager. And I know that's kind of semantics for some people, but that's an important fact here. If the guy was gambling, even with an illegal bookmaker, you don't go to prison for that. So gambling in and of itself, even in a state like California, which has not legalized sports wagering, the interpreter doesn't go to prison. He only goes to prison if he's found guilty of wire fraud, theft, and embezzlement. So now here are these two guys, best friends allegedly, for the last 4 or 5 years, since Ohtani was an Angel, and the government wasn't coming after him. Ohtani's people came out and said he stole the money. And because they've accused him of stealing the money, now you're looking at criminal charges. So if you try to out me and you try to throw me under the bus and accuse me of stealing your money, we're no longer friends.
No.
Meaning I now have a story to tell. And I think the very hard thing for Ohtani is, whether the interpreter lies about it or not, is almost not even the point. If the interpreter now turns around and goes, look, I've been protecting this guy since I met him. This guy's I hate that word. This guy's a compulsive gambler. And he used me to make his bets. And he gave me access to his account to wire that money. And I've never made a wager for myself in my life. I was covering for him. Now what do you do? And I'm not suggesting any of that happens. I'm playing the possibility that in an effort to not go to prison, he now flips the script and says, I'm a liar, he's the liar. Because if he says that, whether he's lying or not even the point, how does Ohtani disprove the lie? I don't know how you do. And from this standpoint, the money, not up for debate, went from Ohtani's account to the bookmaker's account. So if you're the interpreter and you're trying to save your ass from going to prison, and you tell the investigators, I was the straw man. He told me to do it, so I did it. He was my employer and best friend, and I got a little piece of the action. How does Ohtani defend himself against that if that's the direction this goes?
Well, how come Ippy didn't come out and said anything yet?
Well, he did speak at first, spoke for an hour and a half. And a bunch of reporters interviewed him, and he answered every question. And then an hour later, everything he said was refuted. And then, interestingly enough, after saying that Ohtani had bailed him out and helped him out, then he went the exact opposite way and said Ohtani had nothing to do with it, which makes skeptical people think, that there's a deal here between Ohtani and the interpreter. And I want to be clear, we don't know any of that to be factual.
Right.
But we're also not naive, and we've seen enough stories like this where now we have to consider just the possibility that we're not being told the truth by anybody involved. And real quick, I know we got to take a break. From a gambling standpoint, there's another story out there in the last 24 hours that I'm telling you, and I said this the other day on Fox News. There's going to be a gambling scandal because there are guys that are wagering on their own sports. There's a relatively unknown, as far as household name, player right there on the Raptors, okay?
Jontay Porter.
Yeah, and there were 2 games in the last couple months where there was a late action on betting the under on his personal props in an NBA game. And in those 2 games, he pulled himself out of both games, one with an alleged eye injury and one claiming that he had the flu. And right before tip-off, there were attempts to make significant wagers on the under on all of his props, meaning points scored, rebounds, assists, all that stuff. And then in those 2 games, where there was all of a sudden crazy attempts of betting big money on the under, he pulled himself out of both games. And now that's being investigated.
This stinks.
Yep.
This does not. I mean, the amount of money, those were the biggest winners of the evening for some of these sports books. Jontay Porter unders? You're telling me that Jontay Porter unders had some of the most action in the entire NBA those evenings? Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. There's no chance. I cannot say this equivocally. I'd be very, very, very surprised if this was not found to be him colluding.
Well, I hope not. I hope not. But this is the problem, because now you're talking about a guy that doesn't get a lot of minutes anyway. He's not a household name, so he's kind of an under-the-radar guy. And here's what I do like, though.
Under the radar.
I do want to give the NBA credit for this. And whatever sports book the action came in on, they alerted everybody right away.
Yep.
So they recognized there was a strange betting pattern. It didn't make sense. They flagged it, and they're investigating it. And I give Adam Silver, and I don't know which one of the sites it was, I give that site credit for recognizing it happened, alerting the authorities to it, and making sure it gets investigated, because this is the biggest problem in sports today.
You're going to get caught.
100%.
You're going to get caught. It's a fact that you're going to get caught. So you shouldn't be betting while you're playing.
But I give the league credit and the operator credit that whatever fail-safe measures they have in place to ring a bell when something like this looks wrong, that the bell rang and they attacked it. So I give them credit for that.
They pulled him from the game yesterday.
Yep, I do give them credit for that. And look, it's an old story. It was in the paper the other day. When Mark Jackson, I think it was a rookie or second year, that he and Charles Barkley were going at it in a game, and they started making wagers against each other. Like, I bet you $20 I dunk on you next possession. I bet you $100, I score, back and forth. And word got to David Stern, the late commissioner of the NBA, that these guys were having the conversation. So he calls both guys into the New York office because David Stern was anti-gambling and knew that that was the thing that risked the league's integrity more than anything else. So as the story goes, he brought Mark Jackson and Charles Barkley into his office, and he reads them the riot act about openly talking about gambling. He storms out of the office, and he says to Jackson and Barkley, "I'll be back with my decision in 5 minutes. Sit right there." And there's a chance they're going to get suspended by the commissioner because of the gambling talk. And when he walks out of his office, or storms out of the office, Charles Barkley looks at Mark Jackson and goes, "I bet you $500 he doesn't suspend us." Now, both guys were fined $5,000, but David Stern recognized that gambling is a problem for the integrity of the league. So that's a funny little story for you. All right, we got to take a quick break. What's coming up after the break? Should the Niners be worried? Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to answer now. You're going to have to wait.
Oh, tease.
You're going to have to wait. You told me don't answer it now, answer it after. So I'll answer it after.
Hey there. Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Welcome back to the Carton Show. We have some sound from John Lynch about a potential deal with Brandon Aiyuk. Here is what John Lynch had to say.
It takes two sides, so can we do that? We'll see. There's a number of different directions, that it could go, but we appreciate the heck out of Brandon and who he is as a player, and we want him to be a part of the Niners, and so we're going to work towards making that a reality.
Pretty standard sound from a general manager trying to work out a deal, but we got Brandon Aiyuk's response here. Money talks, bull bleep walks. Right there on Instagram.
How did you figure that out?
So the producers did it for me. So, what do you think about Brandon Aiyuk's response to Lynch?
First, I think it's funny that John Lynch needs an ID badge. like where's the hour he can't get into a room? He's right. I don't even get all that. Look, I've told you guys every time this topic comes up that Brandon Aiyuk, Mike Tomlin's son, is not going to Pittsburgh, and San Francisco's not letting him walk out the door. They recognize talent, and they disprove what a lot of franchises try to convince their fan bases about, most notably now the Dallas Cowboys, which is you can sign everybody. You just need a really creative capologist in that front office to figure out how to do it. But here's a team that recognizes they've not paid their quarterback, the $20, $30 million a year deal that they're ultimately going to have to, although not this year. They're a year away from having to work out the deal with Brock Purdy.
Yep.
You got McCaffrey, big deal. Debo, big deal. Bosa, big deal. And on and on and on. So for every other franchise out there that goes, there's only so many guys you can sign, BS. San Francisco signs everybody, and they figure it out. And they're not in the habit of allowing great talent to just walk out the door for nothing. They've been very shrewd in their ability, to keep the great talent there. So from that standpoint, I would think a deal gets done. I understand Aiyuk's position, money talks, BS walks, and I'm playing on a lame duck contract for $14 million to change this year, and I want to be paid like one of the top wide receivers because I am one. I don't think San Francisco recognizes that. I just don't think if you're a good team, and clearly they are, and you're in this kind of window where you have a chance to win championships because the NFC is so weak from a talent standpoint, you don't let a piece like that just walk out the door. You don't.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you haven't won a championship, right? And now that you're paying Debo Samuel $28 million, Brandon Aiyuk's like, I'm coming off my biggest year. I'm on the same. And if you're the San Francisco 49ers, you're not going to tie up to $52 million between two receivers. It doesn't help you out long term. So at the end of the day, as much as you want to keep them at home, if you will, you're still going to have to let them play out.
Let me just say this on that. My point is you can. you're capable of doing it with creative financing. So, and I really am juxtaposing San Francisco against the Dallas Cowboys here, right? Because, Jerry Jones comes out, of course, he's like, we're going to have to win with less. And we haven't spent any money. And a lot of teams do that where they try to explain to the fan base, you can only sign so many guys. San Francisco disproves that. Like, they've got 5 guys making major wood for them coming up this year, right? And they figured out how to do it. So I'm going to at least take the leap of faith. And I'm not a Niner fan, obviously, but I'm going to take the leap of faith that John Lynch, Jed York, the owner, and whoever their cap guy is, and I apologize, I don't know who it is, and who does those kinds of financial maneuvering for them, will figure out a way for Aiyuk to get the money commensurate with his talent.
I don't think they can, Craig.
Well, signing bonus, that roster bonus, all that kind of stuff. You do that.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you still, like you mentioned before, they still got Brock Purdy coming.
Yeah.
Imagine what Brock Purdy's going to want, right? Especially
he's gonna want it
after
all.
being Mr. Irrelevant and everything he's been able to accomplish, he's going for the piggy bank. So with everything we just saw in that graphic, and now you're trying to say Bernie Aiyuk, they don't have that much money to kind of spread around.
Let me ask you this. Aiyuk, so he wants his contract to be tearing up.
Well, he has 1 year left, $14 million.
So that's what I'm saying. So he wants to be extended.
He wants to get.
He wants a blockbuster deal.
He wants
a new deal.
Right now.
I'll tell you what he wants.
A new deal right now.
He wants 5 years of buck and a quarter.
I know what he wants. I'm talking about, does he want his contract to be tearing up right now? Or,
well, yeah, he would like it, yes.
Right. No, I mean, San Francisco don't have to do that.
No, they don't.
They could wait a year.
And it's a rub.
They could wait a year until your contract is up and you sign.
If you wait a year, you become an unrestricted free agent, unless, of course, you get franchised, which is their right. And it's a fair question. This is when you try to get the deal done, because as you move through the season, now it's no longer good for the player to negotiate a deal in December. I only got a month to go, and then I could be an unrestricted free agent and let 5 teams bid for my services. I'm just going to say this. I know what incompetency looks like. I'm a Jet fan. I know what it looks like when teams are not all in. I watch what the Cowboys are doing. I will give San Francisco the pass they deserve, that they will get this done. Maybe you're right at the end of the day that they're not going to commit $50 million a year to 2 wide receivers. Maybe you're right. And I can't argue that you're wrong, because very few teams have ever done that or come close to that. But for some reason, I believe that San Francisco will figure out a way to keep everybody in house and, more importantly, to keep everybody happy. I think Aiyuk gets signed in San Francisco, and they figure it out. That's how I see it.
Moving on to our one NBA thing, and this one is interesting. The Celtics were up in Atlanta against the Hawks by 30 points in the second quarter. The Hawks come storming back. And then there's this play. 10 seconds left. DeAndre Hunter has the ball with a 1-point lead and shoots a 3. If you've ever watched an NBA basketball game, you know that is a terrible decision that he just made right there. Shocking that he did it. He must have not known the score or something, but gave him a 4-point lead and the win. Craig, what do you think about the Celtics collapse?
I knew you were going to every time the Celtics blow a lead, he asks if it's time to start worrying.
And they have blown some big
leads.
And they have blown some big leads.
Yes, they
this
have.
means the Knicks are making the finals. This basically means the Knicks are making the finals.
I tell you what, the worst place for the Celtics to be is up 20 or more in the fourth quarter these days. But I'm sorry. They're the best team in basketball, and I include the Nuggets in that. Nuggets are the best home team in basketball, just not the best road team. But they're going to win, 68 games this year, whatever it is, 65.
Craig,
you still don't want to lose.
Let me give you a wrinkle.
Let
me give you a wrinkle about this game. It's interesting. So it's Monday night they play the game in Atlanta. They also play Atlanta on Thursday.
Okay.
So they're going to stay in Atlanta for Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night.
You know what that means?
And then play on Thursday night. I mean, we've all been to Atlanta.
We have?
What do you think they're going to be doing for the next few days?
Partying.
Eating a lot of chicken wings at a certain place where women don't wear clothes. If I have that story correct.
Have those in Atlanta?
One or two.
Free Nick.
Yeah.
Look, there's not a lot of things to do in Buckhead, the suburb of Atlanta, but there's 1 or 2 things.
Eat good and party, baby.
Yeah, here's my promise. If you want to smell something really bad, go to their Tuesday morning practice.
Well,
Who wanted to fish?
Because they're going to be sweating it out.
Actually, they had a day off today.
Oh, yeah?
They had a day off today. So, I mean, if you got that many days in between games.
Trouble happens.
Well, I mean, they got a day off today. They're going to go to practice tomorrow, especially after losing a 30-point lead.
Yes.
I mean, why should we come in and look at that?
Yeah, well, you don't look at that film, but I would tell you that.
Or just be around a basketball.
Where do they play tomorrow night?
No, they play Thursday.
Pardon me, Thursday night. They will beat the Hawks by 40 on Thursday.
I don't think so.
Argue with me, Tim.
I don't think they're going to beat them by 40. They probably beat by 3 or 4.
Oh, stop.
What do you think they'll be up to for the next few days?
We got to take a quick break. Speaking of basketball, the New York Knicks won again last night.
So did the Cavaliers.
Relax. They're only a half game behind Cleveland for the number 3 seed. And we got more football coming your way, including Sean Payton. I think he's still the Broncos coach. We'll double check.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Unfortunately, the baseball focus the last couple days has been the gambling scandal, the Ohtani stuff, right? And then there's a picture sometimes that just kind of comes out of the woodwork that you have to show the audience. This is a random, innocent photograph of the final spring training game for the Dodgers.
Whoops.
And what's interesting about this is you have Ohtani on left and Mookie on the right. But if you put them together, it says Ohtani bets.
Oh, boy. See? I didn't see that. So you said put them together.
There you go. Yahtzee. Just saying.
Right.
I mean, good photo. No?
Sometimes the world speaks to you, Chris.
Can you interpret that for us?
You think that's in the locker room going on?
There's no interpretation.
I told you we wagered.
Yeah.
Anyway, I saw that. I've been hanging on to that for a day and a half, and I finally found a chance to put it out there.
Yes.
Ohtani bets. Anyhow, here's personal football with you go.
We start with the Broncos head coach, Sean Payton. He was asked if it's realistic for them to move up from 12 in the draft, and here's how he answered.
I think it's realistic. What's hard to predict, though, is like what's on the receiving end. I think it's good to be Monty today at Arizona, right? So it's hard to predict what that cost is.
So, do you expect the Broncos, add a quarterback to the roster at any point?
That's the craziest thing to me. They must have in their back pocket a deal nobody knows about. And whether he's talking about, I think, the Cardinals defensive coordinator there.
The Cardinals
GM, rather, pardon me, and they pick fourth, the Cardinals do. Here's the problem from a Broncos standpoint in trying to trade from 12. Let's just use the Cardinals as an example, whether there's any basis to it or not. Just to get into the top 5, let's say, to draft one of these quarterbacks, and by all accounts, 4 or 5 quarterbacks are going in the top 10, 12, 15 picks. So if they wait till 12, they may be out of luck. The problem with the Broncos is that they don't have a lot of draft capital this year. They don't have a second-round draft pick. They have 12. In the third round, decent pick. They picked 76 overall, and I'm not going to get in the weeds of 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds. So to get up to top 5, if I'm the Cardinals, and I've now fully doubled down that Kyler Murray is the guy. He did play well coming back from the torn ACL in a few weeks that he got to play this past season. I'm willing to be your Huckleberry, but I want your first-round pick next year. And I want your third-round pick this year. So the question is there a quarterback that Sean Payton's in love with that he can get it for? Meaning, obviously, Caleb Williams is gone, and then either
Drake May's gone, Jaden Daniels gone.
Daniels probably from LSU's gone, and who knows about JJ McCarthy, right?
JJ will be sitting there.
So are you sitting at 4 and getting the quarterback you covet, or are you just getting whichever guy is left? Most guys, if you move up and give up significant future draft capital to get into the top 4 or 5, you're doing it because there's a specific guy you want. And it can't be Caleb Williams because he's going to the Bears. And the other guys, I've heard a lot of different experts' opinions. This guy's better than that guy. This guy's better than that guy. I just don't know how they get to 4 without giving up a package like I just said. Because if I'm Arizona, I'll pick 4th. I'll take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right.
I'll give Kyler Murray, the best weapon he's had since Hopkins, right?
Yeah.
Unless you want to overwhelm me with an offer. Again, I'm not a draft Nick. I'm not a guy that spends a lot of time trying to figure that stuff out. I leave that to people who do it really well for a living. But if I'm Arizona, I will trade with you. I want your 3rd. All right. I obviously want this year's 1. I'll take 12. And I want a future number 1. How bad do you want a quarterback at number 4? Because I got you over a barrel if you pick up the phone and call me.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. The issue, not only besides quarterback, you have an immediate need at the receiver that you just let go of Jerry Jeudy, right? And your offensive line was atrocious. Your defense gave up 70 points this year to the Miami Dolphins. So you may have won a quarterback all you want, but all the assets that you currently have, you have to build this team back up. And Sean Payton, this is what you're here for. You're here to build this organization back to the prime in which they were. So I don't know how they go from 12 to 4 with what they currently have. You just pray to God that JJ slides.
To be fair, you make a good hypothetical. Next year's 1, right? There's nothing about this Broncos team that makes me feel like that is not going to be a very high pick. So you're going to end up regretting it. If you trade up to 4 from 12 and you give away a high pick next year, you're going to regret that.
But here's the thing, and I'm not saying that you're going to base it off this deal, but just to give you, apples to apples. It didn't work out. But San Francisco gave up 3 first-round draft picks to get up to number 3 from where were they, 13 or 14 or 12? They were 12, same exact spot. And that was to get Trey Lance.
Yep.
Now, it didn't work out.
Sure didn't.
But that's how they valued picking 3rd. So this is a very similar scenario. Now, we're using the Cardinals as an example only because he brought up the Cardinals general manager. Maybe they're trying to get to 8. Maybe they think their quarterback's going to drop and they just got to get into the top 10. The Bears are taking Caleb. Commanders are taking a quarterback. Patriots are taking a quarterback.
Probably Daniels.
Cardinals are not. Chargers are not.
The Giants
might.
Because the Giants could go quarterback or they can get Joe Alt, the guard out of
play it out. Titans are not going after a quarterback. They've got Will Levis. Falcons are not going after a quarterback. They got Kirk Cousins. The Bears will have already drafted their quarterback, and the Jets aren't taking a quarterback. So in reality, you just have to figure out a way to get to 5 if you think the Giants are going to take for a quarterback, if it's J.J. McCarthy, whomever it is. Because you're not going to jump the Patriots, you're not going to jump the Commanders. So best scenario for Denver is you're getting the 4th quarterback taken, and you got to trump the Giants to get him. Here's the other rub, if you're a Bronco fan. There are no veterans out there now. To be right, there's no one out there to be a legitimate starting quarterback for you. So you're going into a year where you've already been eliminated from the postseason. Year 2 of Sean Payton is going to be a failure.
Moving on to Woody Johnson of the Jets. He spoke about a high draft pick that they once made a few years ago, Zach Wilson. And here is Woody Johnson celebrating the asset that is Zach Wilson.
So valuable.
Oh, I'm not going to speculate. I mean, Zach is a valuable asset. He really is. I said it would be better for him, but no, we're just not going to release him.
Aren't the Jets better off just releasing Zach Wilson and not having him in the building for training camp?
Yeah, I think so. Look, he's not going to play. He's a 3rd-string quarterback at best. Apparently, there have been offers made. I assume it's a 7th-round draft pick to get him. They've said no to that offers. But here's what's really problematic for me as a Jet fan. That comment that Zach Wilson has value, right, was not the dumbest thing Woody Johnson said yesterday. Just let that soak in for a second. The guy that's been the worst quarterback in football for the last 3 years, having trade value, according to the owner, was not even close to being the dumbest thing that the owner said. Would you like to hear the dumber thing that he said?
Yes.
Ask me to play it.
Would you play the dumber?
Yes, I will, Tim Hardaway.
Appreciate that.
Here's a dumber comment from the owner of the New York Jets. Play Exhibit B, please.
And all you have to do with Aaron is tell the receiver, count to 10, put your hands out here, look around, and the ball will be in your hands.
Excuse me?
You have to tell the receiver to count to 10.
Tell the receiver to count
and
to 10.
then look around.
Just turn around.
And the ball being
No, it's going to be right there.
Yeah.
You just turn around.
But again, but first I want you to count to 10. Just run as fast as you can. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi,
you'll be in the
4
tunnel.
Mississippi,
You'll be in the tunnel.
5
Look at them
Mississippi,
hips.
Yeah, you have to build it.
Great handwork. You'll be in the up and down.
I'm not done counting. 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi.
There's the ball. There it is.
My goodness gracious.
A receiver runs way faster than that.
And thank you, I appreciate that. So white guy.
He's not going anywhere. So he's not going to be able to throw him. He's not going to be able to throw him the ball because first of all, he's going to be on his butt. Or the guy's going to be out the field. Or the guy's going to be out the field.
Oh, it's too funny.
Yes. Yes.
That's tough.
Come on, man. And by the way, there's a chance he said something dumber. We've only gone through the first 5 minutes of the press conference yesterday. In any event, the Golden State Warriors are in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Man, I
Serious
wish
trouble.
it were the Lakers, but it's not.
Serious.
We'll explain what happened last night and why the Warriors might be on the outside looking in. How about this? That looks like Saquon Barkley there, Jacoby. And John Mara, the owner of the Giants, said he's sick to his stomach that Saquon Barkley's no longer a Giant. Of course, nobody had the balls to say, but Mr. Mara, couldn't you have prevented him from leaving New York and going to Philadelphia? And this just, I hate when this happens because he was a classy guy, is a classy guy. Obviously, the career wasn't what everyone had hoped for after that amazing rookie season, but the guy begged you publicly and privately to be a Giant for life. It meant something to him. And he just wanted a fair market deal to stay in New York. And you never offered it to him. And I know there's stories out there. You know, the Giants made an attempt to keep him. No, they didn't. They were never in the ballpark of what it would have taken to solidify Saquon Barkley under a multi-year contract. And I'm not a Giant fan, but we know how Giant fans reacted to the Giants not re-signing him and then Saquon going to Philly. It was like someone had offended a family member, right?
No question.
They took it personally because of what Saquon was supposed to represent in the rebuilding of the Giant franchise. And what bothers me about it is that you cannot come out as the owner and tell the fan base, I'm as sick as you guys are over losing Saquon Barkley when you're the one guy that could have guaranteed Saquon remained a New York Giant for life. And I'm not suggesting, to be fair about this, that the Maras should have given him a ridiculous contract and overpaid him by $30 million just to keep him here. But you made no attempt to keep him here. And if you were going to let him walk out the door, or at least you were willing to let him walk out the door, which clearly they were because he did, how do you not trade him and get at least a pick or some kind of value in return when last year went south so quickly?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting for Giants fans because they looked at Saquon how they look at Eli and Michael Strahan. They're lifers, right? They bleed blue through and through, and that didn't happen. So for a lot of Giants fans, they salty because they put him in another category. However, it's not Saquon's fault. To your point, he publicly said, I want to stay here. I want to be a Giant for life. The Mariners never honored it, nor anybody in the front office, so he did what was best
And think
for
about
Saquon.
this just for a second, just if I can very quickly go back a year now, right? When they were making the decision as to whether or not they were going to re-sign Danny Jones to the big contract that they did, this is a true story. Saquon and his agent were in the building, and they had him kind of sequestered. You had Danny and his agent on this office, Saquon and his agent down the hall, and the clock is ticking to midnight. And all of a sudden, you got to get a deal done, because if you don't get a deal done, you lose the right to franchise him at the time, right? And they made him sit there while they negotiated $100+ million deal with an average quarterback, and then they slapped the franchise tag on him. And when they redid that deal, it was a BS deal with incentives that he was never
It's time! Stop that time!
Top 5 and 9. I was right there in the middle of it.
Drop it.
Duty calls. It's time for the top 5 at 9. And we start you off with number 5. Here come the Rockets, Tim Hardaway. 9 straight wins and only a half game back of the Golden State Warriors for the final play-in spot. Bye-bye, Golden State. The run is over.
Yes, it is. And, I agree with you. And it's sad to say that, but, the Warriors not looking good. The Warriors, like you said, the Rockets are winning 9 in a row.
Yep.
And the Warriors play tonight against the Heat and tomorrow against Orlando Magic. So it's not looking real good. And then,
well, let me tell you this: for the next 2 nights, I'm a Warrior fan, and because knock those teams back, let the Knicks breathe a little bit. And I will say this: Golden State does play Houston straight up next Thursday on April 4th. So,
but you know what? That might be for all the marbles next Thursday.
I like the way you think.
It might be.
Too bad you won't be here for that. It would be nice to have had your insight on that. Number 4. Zach Wilson is still a Jet.
Why?
And according to Woody Johnson, there's a pretty decent chance he'll be a Jet all year.
It's absolutely atrocious. You're talking about this man was benched, right? And what's even hurtful, we had Tim Boyle as a replacement.
Yes.
Then we had Simeon. Overall, any backup in New York Jets has been abysmal. When they let those guys go, they should have let him go. It's time to move on. There's nobody in that locker room that believes in Zach Wilson.
Well,
Bottom line.
Here's my biggest problem with this whole thing is, Craig, you said earlier, even if he's on the roster, he's not going to play. Guess what? You used 4 quarterbacks last year. It's not a guarantee that Zach Wilson will not start a game for the Jets. Tyrod Taylor gets hurt. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. This could be a real thing.
When does the pain stop, honestly, for a
Talking
Jets
about
fan?
Zach Wilson for the Jets.
You're 100% correct. If Aaron Rodgers, for whatever, misses a game, right, for whatever, and they roll out Zach Wilson, as a Jets fan, right? Like, how do you accept this rolling out for you next year?
I'm not a violent man.
Oh, no.
But it is baseball season, if I may.
Yeah!
He doesn't play another down for the New York Jets. Number 3. Somebody should ask Deion Sanders what he's going to do if nobody even wants his son to play quarterback for them a year from now. Because Deion came out and said, I'm going to dictate where my son goes to play quarterback in the NFL. Except he forgot one thing. He's not an NFL caliber quarterback. But I've got a solution for him. Maybe he can play 2-on-2 with Bronny James.
Oh, stop it, Craig.
Okay.
Maybe Bronny James, and they can play 2-on-2.
I think Shadura will get a shot at the next level.
Not a quarterback.
I just don't understand how Deion thinks he has the leverage to tell a GM where and when to pick his son.
Yeah,
I just don't understand
they
that.
came out yesterday and had the balls to say that we're going to Eli Manning the situation, and we're going to dictate where he goes because he's a Hall of Fame talent who's going to win multiple Super Bowls. Here's what Shadura Sanders is. Much like Justin Fields, he's a slot receiver.
But he was kind of packaging him in with Travis Hunter, and I think Travis Hunter might have a little bit more.
Travis Hunter's a stud.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. He's the first-round draft pick.
Travis Hunter's going to go up pretty high.
Yuck. Number 2. Let's give some love to the little guy, if we may.
Who's this?
Let's not mock the little guy. For those of you that watched the end of the Duke win,
oh boy,
to get to the Sweet 16,
Craig, is that you?
Look who got on the court. It was Make-A-Wish night for Duke.
Chop. Step back.
No joke. Hey. That's a walk-on the Duke. Look at that little guy.
Wow. What?
Now, as you know, we have all these life-size cutouts here.
Right.
This is Zach Wilson.
Yeah, there he is.
So I asked the guys to give me the life-size cutout of the little guy on Duke, and here we go.
Oh, boy.
There we go.
Yeah.
Drink from the cup.
Oh, man.
Can you show the video one more time? This is a great moment. Now, the kid gets in the game last couple of minutes.
Hubbard.
All right?
Run his little butt over.
And everyone's excited for him to score.
Come on, Spence.
He doesn't make a single shot from the field. He gets fouled, Jacoby. Goes to the line.
Oh, no. No, he doesn't.
First free throw. Brick.
No.
Second free throw. Rim around. And let's see what happens.
Come on,
in
Spence.
the second free throw. Does he score? Yeah!
All right.
Oompa loompa doompa dee.
Yeah. His dad must be rich.
And that brings us to number 1. Number 1 is simple. It's a song. We should all sing it together. Go New York, go New York, go! 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 Go New York. Where's Timmy?
Where's
Can I see
Tim?
Timmy? I got one. Go New York, go New York, go! Go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Go
You see the
New
game
York,
last
go
night, too?
New
Yeah, I
York,
saw
go!
the game.
You see the game? You see Dante taking chainsaw?
Let's go about the Kevin Pass. Tim, this from your era. Let's go about the Kevin Pass.
Kevin's back.
Oh, get him.
Can you say it once for us, Timmy, please?
What?
Go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New
Wait,
York,
where's he?
go!
Where's he?
He act like he at the.
I'm at the Garden.
I think you at the club and where the Boston Celtics gonna be at.
Yeah. Timmy, where are the Heat in the standings this year? I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Where was we in the standings last year? We was below y'all. We was below y'all too, right?
Yeah,
and then what happened in the playoffs?
We got to take a quick break.
Right.
We'll come back with all your
Amnesia
headlines.
happens around
The
here.
New York Jets owner has spoken. Is it playoffs or bust? Jets.
Yeah, amnesia be happening around here.
Right there you go. Swing it like you got it with it.
Yeah. Squeeze that juice.
Good morning, welcome back to the Carton Show. We have your early morning headlines, and we start with that man right there, Shohei Ohtani. Yesterday, he faced the media. He did not face any questions or answer them, but he did put out a statement, and part of which is right here. He said the following, and I quote, "I do want to make it clear that I never bet on sports or have willingly sent money to the bookmaker. Ipe, his interpreter, has been stealing money from my account and has been telling lies. I'm just beyond shocked." How do you think about how Ohtani handled it?
I don't love it, to be honest. I don't love the fact that he didn't take any questions because there's like, to be fair, 4 or 5 legitimate probing questions that are going to be answered, whether it's privately with Major League Baseball's investigators or for sure when the feds come knocking on your door to get to the bottom of this illegal gambling ring. So I don't know how I feel about it. I want to take the leap of faith that Ohtani's not lying. Clearly, the interpreter has lied at least once. He's told 2 completely different stories. They both can't be true. So we know he lied about one of the stories. Either Ohtani did know about it and helped him out, or he stole the money. They both can't be true at the same time. So we're going to go down that road. I think this ends it for now. I don't think this is a daily occurrence where we're talking about it or people in baseball are talking about it until the investigation is done. Once the investigation is done, based on what they found, then we go to the next level, which is either we've done a thorough investigation, Ohtani's done nothing wrong, everybody can move on, and since the interpreter is no longer an employee of the Dodgers, baseball's done with him, it's up to the feds to go after him for any kind of criminal charges, right? The problem I have is, I am a compulsive gambler, and I know the lifestyle. And this is not as black and white as people want it to be. If you're accusing a guy of going into your personal bank account and sending money, that raises a lot of red flags. How long did he have access to your account? How could you have given him access and then not known he was siphoning money off, regardless of where he might have been sending it? And this isn't like, hey man, I needed a couple $100. This is $4.5 million.
Hey.
This is real money, serious money. And the last 2 wires were $500,000 each. The other thing that I have an issue with, and again, coming at this from the standpoint of being a compulsive gambler and knowing what it's like to feel the walls caving in on you financially from a bet that went sour, is the easiest way for you to contemplate getting out of a financial jam is to make a wager on what you think you do best or know best. For me, that was blackjack. I thought for 18 months I was the greatest blackjack player in the world, and I had the stats to back that up from an egotistical standpoint, right? For this guy, if you are losing money on international soccer and college sports and basketball, any football, anything other than baseball, when you're in a hole like that and you're going to try to get yourself out of it, you are going to go to your default, which is, what do I know the best? In this case, for the interpreter, he has inside information about the Anaheim Angels going back for the last couple years. It makes sense to me as a compulsive gambler that that's what you would bet on to get out of a very deep financial hole that you don't have the wherewithal on your own to get out of. If you lose, you got to go to your boss essentially and ask him for the money or steal the money. Those are the only 2 options you got. So I think as this thing plays itself out, while to date even the bookmaker out there in Orange County has said to the investigators, this account never, ever wagered on baseball. I'll take him at his word for now, but I find that somewhat skeptical to believe just on face value. And the other part of this real quick is this. If Ohtani is protecting himself and he's going to put everything on this interpreter now as the bad guy, and we all want to accept that, the problem with that is we know where the money came from. We don't know who sent it, but we know the account it came from. If I'm the interpreter and the guy that I thought was my best friend just threw me under not just any bus, but a criminal investigation bus, meaning I'm looking at federal prison time for wire fraud and embezzlement and theft, and he turned his back on me, regardless of what the previous relationship was or wasn't. I'm now going to do the same thing to him, possibly, because I think it's going to save me from having to do more prison time. Now, having lived that life, that's a tough decision to make. Some people eat it, and they do their time. I did. Some people try to make a deal as quickly as they can. I couldn't do that for a lot of reasons, and that's not who I am. But I don't know who this guy is. And if this guy decides, all I've got to do is tell the investigators, Ohtani's lying. I didn't have access to his bank account. He sent the money. Now, that doesn't mean Ohtani's broken the law. It does mean baseball has to now consider, is there a punishment for sending money to an illegal bookmaker? But this story could end very quickly, wrap it up nice with a bow on it. Ohtani's done nothing wrong. Maybe they even have a side deal. He does some prison time, he gets out of prison, and there's a big check waiting for him. I think we all kind of think that's the direction something like this could go in. But the flip side is, screw you. You want to throw me under the bus? I'm going to flip it right around and throw you under the bus. And that's where this could get ugly. So I don't think anything happens tomorrow or a month from tomorrow. I think at some point this summer, when this investigation is all done, that'll be the next chapter of this. And not knowing anything about this interpreter other than he's now been painted out to be a liar on his resume about his education, on his resume about past work experience. There's not a lot of good things being said about this guy. You don't know how somebody's going to react when their freedom's at stake. And that's a game changer, no matter who you are, and that'll be the next ball that drops.
Moving on to our second big headline, and that involves the New York Jets and their owner, Woody Johnson.
Stop.
He was asked a very simple question.
Woody!
What would a successful season look like for the Jets?
Playoffs.
And he gave a very complicated answer. Here is Woody Johnson.
Successful season, it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. You want to feel like you're getting the most out of all the players. You're winning or close to winning every single game.
Why is he not holding the Jets to a higher standard for this season?
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but winning and losing isn't. You're either win or you lose.
Right. It's on a scoreboard.
And how you define a successful season is not in the eye of the beholder, unless you want to tell me he's saying, without saying these words, look, if we get to the AFC Championship game and lose and don't go to the Super Bowl, there might be some people that say that's a failure. But if we get to the AFC Championship game, I would say that's a success.
Not what he said,
He's not
Craig.
saying
That's
that.
not what he said.
He's leaving it open for, if we go 9-8 and we don't make the playoffs, I might view that as a success because we gained 2 games from last year. And that's the problem. If you came out and said, look, I'm not going to say we have to win the Super Bowl and say anything short of that is a failure, I get that.
Sure.
But here's what I learned over the last 48 hours. The company line now for my beloved New York Jets is we're not going to put any undue pressure on anybody. We're not going to put any expectations out there. We're not going to say playoff or bust. We're not going to say a win total we need. We're not going to say we got to win the division. We're just going to hope that they go out there and stay healthy and play their best and let the chips fall where they may. That's so crazy to me as a Jet fan who's gone, 13 years without a playoff game, without a playoff win? And I'm saying to myself, this is the year. It was supposed to be last year. We all can accept last year. As ugly as it was at quarterback, we accept the fact that Aaron went down in week 4, and it was a poop show from that point on. I don't like accepting it, but I got no choice. Not this year.
No.
Not this year because I've got a better offensive line. When Mike Williams' knee is right and he can play, which may be week 1, maybe not. Obviously, I got depth at wide receiver. I got Aaron Rodgers coming, all the stuff we all know about, right? it is inexcusable for the owner of my team and for the head coach of my team to give them an out before the season even starts.
I agree.
And that's my problem with it, because part of sports, you guys can speak this better than me and Jacoby, part of sports is a mindset. You can all play. It's not a question of whether or not you have the talent. The thing that separates you guys is in between the ears and the personality. And we're already setting the stage for this team that failure is not the worst thing. And I hate that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we also got to understand this team is on a 13-year playoff drought, right? And so as much as, Tim made the point, well, he may be saying something different in front of the guys inside the locker room. The problem is when you talk about this franchise moving forward and what it looks in the immediate eye, it's a circus, right? And you talk about when this team was at its worst last year, they raised ticket prices.
Yes,
you know what I mean? They were calling for ticket prices when you weren't playing, when the product on the field was dead last in offense, when this defense pretty much had to score touchdowns to win football games, and you raised ticket prices. So Craig is 100% right. This is a disclaimer. What you're telling your fan base right now is whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. We're not setting the stage. And that's the problem, because good franchises do one thing. We win. There's a standard. We're going for a Super Bowl. We only want to hoist Lombardis. If you set that tone, of course the men in the locker room say, all right, that's the direction, because players adjust. That's when we don't get enough. We know how to adjust and we know how to make right. This defense, pretty much, you're talking about Zach Wilson got benched. They went with Tim Boyle, right? That was our answer. We had Trevor Siemian as an answer. Like, it was bad after bad. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner, that whole defense, pretty much time after time at the end of games, like, listen, man, it's not good, it's ugly, but we're going to keep on fighting. I give him credit for that. But this is a new year. The standard has to be different.
Here's what I'm trying to figure out. It was only a month ago, like early February, where Woody Johnson spoke about the 2024-25 season, and this is February 8th. I'm not a playoff mandate guy, but we do have to do a lot better than 7 wins. This is it. We have to produce this year. I love that. That's money.
Yep.
That's what I want from my owner, who's never really had great success other than the 2 years with Rex Ryan since he bought the team all those years ago. I'm not sure what happened from February 8th to, March 20, whatever it is today, right? Because at some point he was like, look, I'm holding everybody accountable.
Yeah.
I have expectations now. You got to win. I did raise ticket prices. And what bothers me is I think there's a chance. I can't prove this. I don't know this is a fact. That on February 9th, somebody went to Woody and said, that was a little too tough. A little too tough. That was a little too tough.
Tone it down, Woody.
Walk it back a little bit, tone it down. What do you want, Timmy Hardaway?
But he did say, when he said that in February, that I'm not a playoff guy.
Playoff mandate. Where I don't like saying I got to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, so
I do.
So what he's saying now is just basically what he's saying.
Now he's saying, look,
eye of the beholder. You never know what success means.
But listen,
that's what he just said.
Hold on. He wasn't done talking. He said something else yesterday.
Can't be worse than that.
That is it's somehow worse than that.
Yeah.
Here he is talking about Aaron Rodgers and the offensive philosophy that they have with Aaron under center.
And what you have to do with Aaron is tell the receiver, count to 10, put your hands out here, look around, and the ball will be in your hands.
Wow.
I don't even know where to go with
Talk
that.
about this new offensive line. The protection's going to be stellar next year.
10 seconds.
I never
look,
played
you know how
football
lately,
with shoulder pass, but I know that's not right.
Thank you, Timmy. You know how we've been mocking Jerry Jones as a bad general manager, making football decisions. Imagine you're Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh and even Nathaniel Hackett, right? And you got all these lifetime football coaches. You've dedicated your entire life to the sport of football. And you're in a big conference room. And the owner, who writes your check. So you got to listen to him.
Right.
You got to be respectful. And he goes, guys, here's the goal. I want you to tell all the wide receivers that when they hear the word hike, and they're like, I think he says hunt, but go with hike, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Backyard football. When you hear the word hike, I want you to count to 10 with Mississippi's in there. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. I'm committed to the bit.
There you go.
5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi,
Long way to go.
7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. Touchdown, Jets! Woohoo!
Spike that thing.
It's like the only thing Woody Johnson knows about football is his kid's flag football league, where there's a 10 Mississippi count before the play gets called dead.
True.
What are we talking about, Tim Hardaway?
That's
Rhetorical.
bad.
What else you got?
Moving on
That's bad.
gentlemen, you just mentioned our final headline involves Jerry Jones, and he was asked directly about the sort of lack of free agent signings, and here's what he had to say, quote, I think we've been in a situation where we can get it done with lesser. More doesn't necessarily beat Green Bay, so we're going to be asked to do some things different because we've got some different players. Did that right there alone make you feel like you've lost all faith in Jerry Jones?
I can tell you this, it made me feel better about my owner.
He didn't say wait 10 seconds and the ball will be there.
Now, could you imagine Jerry Jones and Woody Johnson having like a football Jeopardy one-on-one? That would be awesome. Look, if I'm a Cowboy fan, it's my worst nightmare. He's telling you that we're not going to be as good a team, pure talent-wise, as we were a year ago, in which we were undefeated at home, obviously lose to the Packers in the playoffs. And that's bothersome because that ain't all in. We also now know it seems like things could change, obviously, that they're not committed to the big $200 million extension for Dak Prescott. And frankly, other than doing that to then open up room to get CeeDee Lamb signed, there's no other reason to sign Dak Prescott. That's a reason right there. Yeah, a good reason, too. You want CeeDee Lamb in for another 4, 5, 6 years. It doesn't seem like they're in the business right now of spending all that much money beyond where they're at currently.
Yeah.
That they're not going to go out there and write a huge signing bonus check to Dak or to CeeDee Lamb. And if I'm a Cowboy fan and my owner just came out and said, you have to get used to the concept, that we're going to win or have to win with less than what we had last year, it's almost as if Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are blissfully unaware that you're allowed to sign guys during free agency. And it's okay to do that to try to get better so you can overcome your postseason failures. But to me, there's something else going on here.
It feels
this is so like anti the Jones family way to be so frugal and to talk about having to win with less. And I pick your nose. I also think it's an example that despite all the rhetoric out there, deep inside their souls, they don't believe that Dak Prescott's the guy. They can pay all the lip service they want to it. When he came out and said repeatedly, we will go as far as Dak takes us. And then he, after the loss to Green Bay, said it again with the extra caveat of, and we did.
Yes.
He's kind of telling you that's what Dak is. He's a first-round guy. And maybe once in a while you get to the second round. But that's the ceiling for Dak Prescott. And we're not going to give a guy with that ceiling a $200 million extension. That's the read I get on it now. I want to be clear. That could change tomorrow. They could decide the only way to get CeeDee Lamb locked up is to do the Dak Prescott deal first. I get it, and maybe that happens. But I think there's some blood in the water now regarding the future of Dak Prescott with the Cowboys, and that makes the Cowboys, beyond what they normally are, a major soap opera every single week if he has a bad game.
Yeah, I also feel like there's some buyer's remorse with Jerry, because remember during the middle of the season, like he was like, this is probably the most competent team to take us to the Super Bowl, right? He was very adamant about how much he loved his defense, how he loved Dak, and the way he was playing on and on and on. Now that they got dragged at home against the Green Bay Packers, there's a part I feel like Jerry's bitter.
Yeah.
He's like, why did I invest in you? You made me look like a fool because you don't go 16-0 at home, have the stage step for you, and remember, for it to end like that.
The first thing you said is a great point. Remember, we spent a lot of time last year when he came out and said, in all the years I've owned the Cowboys, there's only been 3 or 4 teams where I truly felt talent-wise were good enough to win a Super Bowl, and last year was one of those teams. He's already come out and said this year's team, from a pure talent standpoint on paper, is not going to be as good as last year's team. And by the way, the point Willie just made is a great point. They were undefeated at home in the regular season. It's hard to do that, meaning if they go 7-1 at home, I'm not sure if the 9th game is home or away for them, so I'm not sure about that schedule-wise just yet. That's already a step back from where they were a year ago. It's going to be ugly in Dallas.
And think about how this Eagles team that was 10-1, and everybody's like, oh, we come to big bag Eagles. They're going right to the Super Bowl. This team blew up in the middle of the season, and the Cowboys were like, oh, okay. This is not the division is ours. Everything was in line for the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. There was nothing else that could have went better for the Cowboys.
Just San Fran, that's it.
Yeah, San Fran.
And by the way, if I'm San Francisco, I know the Aiyuk situation's out there. I'm looking at the rest of the NFC going, I got nothing to worry about.
No question.
What have we heard?
Nothing.
What have we heard from the Cowboys this offseason? Micah Parsons says, I need a little bit of help with the defensive line, and he's right. Jerry Jones says we need to redo the Dak deal to open up some space. Dak himself says we need to redo the Dak deal to open up some space, and none of it happened.
Nothing.
Yeah. Just nothing.
And by the way, the Cowboys couldn't have gotten Brian Burns from Carolina for what the Giants came up to get him.
Of course they could have.
They could have done that deal.
Of course
right?
they could have.
And the Giants made the deal. It's almost like they're asleep at the wheel or they have no interest in acquiring talent and they'll just roll the dice in the draft. In any event, thanks for watching. Undisputed's next. We'll do this again tomorrow. Go Knicks.